super stoked that the Apple Watch Ultra has finally arrived on my front steps. So we're outside, we're putting a few miles on it. We're doing some activities just to see how bright the screen is outside. And we're gonna give you some of my initial impressions on the Apple Watch Ultra versus my favorite Garmin EPIX. Let's get to it. So a couple months ago, I reviewed the Garmin EPIX, a fantastic sports watch. And in it, I compared it to my current favorite at the time, my Apple Watch. This is the Series 7. It's got the LTE. So in that comparison, I really wanted to see if someone who is deeply immersed in the Apple ecosystem could make the jump to Garmin, and I successfully did. Right now, I'm about 80-20. I wear this about 80% of the time. Anytime I'm going to do something outdoors, run, ruck, something physical, I got this on. If I'm going to do something more, business-like, or I want to stay connected to my phone, well then that's where we go with the Apple Watch. About 80-20 currently. It fluctuates week to week. When I did that review, there was rumors of another watch, a rugged, adventure. Anyway, they came out with Ultra. Did a previous video of some of the features when it was announced, but now that I have it, I've unboxed it, we've taken it for a ruck, and in this video I'm going to give you my initial impressions of the watch just after having it for a few hours before I put it through its long-term review and put it through its paces. Let's get to it. All right, so right here, initial unboxing, initial impressions, cool, very nice packaging as you'd expect from Apple. There's a charging cord, but no brick. There's a charging cord with a very nice braided feel to it, unlike any other Apple charging cord that I've ever received. So anyway, that's kind of a nice feature. The watch itself has got a flat face, so that's pretty interesting and unique. It wasn't a big surprise. It does obviously feel very different as you're manipulating the surface of the watch compared to what I'm used to with the Apple Watch Series 7. It's pretty much close to what the Garmin EPIX is like. The other very cool thing, and I hypothesized this when the video came out, and it is true, all these Apple Watch bands fit. So all my favorite bands from Nomad will fit on this watch. Some ones from Groove, the original magnetic one from Apple that I have, all fit, and those are the ones I'll probably use during the testing. I did get the Alpine Loop, the one in the green, just because I don't think I could rock the orange on a daily basis. But this is it's a very lightweight and more elastic feel to it than other watch bands. So it's pretty cool, it's pretty nice. It does come with these little attachment points, so it's going to be really easy to see and remove. It's got a G hook on it, which is how it attaches. Very easy to get off and on. I'll try that one out. We'll see if I like it, but I was very happy that the legacy bands fit because I really do love these bands from Nomad. On my initial run with the watch, the weight of it was not that significant. There's a 10-gram difference, the Apple Ultra being a little bit lighter. I couldn't really tell a big difference if I was thinking about it. I could sense a slight difference. The Garmin feels a little bit heavier, but overall, pretty much a watch. Now the difference being is that the Series 7 and Series 8 is about half the weight of either of these watches. So if weight is important to you, then definitely go with the Series 8, but the Ultra is, comparable in size weight-wise to the EPIX. Now otherwise, the watches themselves are very similar. The faces feel very similar. The Ultra doesn't feel like it's that much bigger, at least screen-wise. The roundedness of the Series 7s and 8s, this is the 45 millimeter. The Ultra is 49 and the EPIX is 47. So, they all fit about the same. People talk about the size of this watch. Well, if you've had the medium size Phoenix or the EPIX, they're the same exact size, the Ultra is going to feel no different, in my opinion, to that watch, but that's just me. If you want the X size of the Phoenix, then yeah, it's going to feel bigger. That one will feel bigger than the Ultra. So really, size being all just generally the same, in my opinion, when it comes to wearing the Garmin and the Ultra, and then obviously the Series 7s and 8s are a little bit smaller. Those were my initial impressions out of the box. Next, we took it out on the open road to do some rucking. Outdoors, the initial impressions are boom, 2000 nits is super bright. and I'll put a few photos up here. It just is very easy to see. Direct sunlight in the shadows, you name it, in all conditions. Both the EPIX and Garmin, the AMOLED display of the EPIX is really the advantage of the EPIX over a Fenix in my opinion, but all of these are very bright watches, super bright in the sunlight, and I'm sure that will impact the battery life, but the Ultra did very well, had no problem seeing. It's very vibrant and bright in the sunlight, so I'm very impressed with the way it looks. In that initial walk, I had the EPIX and I had the Ultra in walk mode. And I forgot about this, but what's super annoying about the watch OS improvements that they made for running is that they're only available in the run mode. They're not available in walk, so you really are limited to a few basically the main screen in walk mode. In run, you get a bunch of different features, which I've used a couple times already, and I am a big fan of the watch OS improvements for run. And I just forgot it, and I used the other one, and I had walk mode. And so again, in that one case, the EPIX still wins, but even with the OS 9 watch run features, the run is still, I think it's pretty good. And the fact that you can customize things is a giant leap for Apple when it comes to being able to monitor your fitness while you're doing it. That, you know, that was just a 9-day difference. That's why the Garmin was far and away better. I think they're about the same now when it comes to monitoring at least the run. I do hope in the future that we get some of the features that are in the run for the Ultra, for the watch OS, gets pushed to the other like walk features, because, you know, if I'm rucking, carrying a lot of weight, I definitely want to know pace and heart rate and last mile, all those things that you get in the run. I wish I had in the walk and hike modes, but that will hopefully be updated in the near future. Another thing that is just obvious is the lack of navigation that you get in the Ultra. The EPIX has all that. All the Garmin devices obviously have a fantastic suite of maps and navigation features that you can use off-road. The Ultra has none of that, although you can use it to navigate, you know, in urban or on the roads, bike paths, that kind of thing, as long as you have your phone with you. But the fact that there's no native maps or navigation in this thing is kind of the biggest negative of the watch going forward. This is an important first step. Hopefully, as things progress, the Ultra gets internal navigation and maps. Wouldn't that be cool? It should. All right, so overall, my initial opinions of the Ultra: I love the brightness, the size doesn't bother me. I'm really intrigued by the battery. I hope it lasts. I'm going to do some further testing on that, but overall I like the color. It's going to take me a little bit to get used to the silver of the Apple Watch Ultra. You know, I've always had the darker black, dark gray versions, and so it's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to the silverish look of the titanium, but it's still cool. And it's still $800 for this. The EPIX with the titanium and sapphire is $1,000, so still edge price-wise to the Ultra. In that direct comparison between the EPIX and the Ultra, we still have a vast difference in battery. So we go days with the EPIX, where we're still measuring things in hours for the Ultra. So it is an important leap, and I do look forward to testing out, see if I can actually get a few days, maybe a weekend away, without having to take the charging cord, just light and lean and use the watch and without having to charge it all the time. I am looking forward to that experience. That's just what I get with the EPIX. So, but still, even in its best case scenario, and even with its new battery saving feature coming out in the fall, it's still gonna lag the EPIX and the Fenix line by a mile. The new run features are awesome. I do like it. I do think it's kind of a draw. The only thing you lack is a map, but I really don't use the map anyway. I need, more importantly, the pace, last mile, all those things, and now I get that out of the run features. I just wish it was in the other parts of the fitness app besides run. In terms of total fitness monitoring, Garmin still has the edge. Body battery, your recovery status, what type of workout you did. The Garmin is still light years ahead of the Ultra and the Apple devices, but in the future I'm hoping that these things catch up, because I think they sort of see this is where things are, where people want to be. This thing has the capabilities, it has the sensors, now it just needs the software to catch up to get it what it needs to, which is basically a total fitness profile. The navigation is a big deal, and the fact that I can do everything from this watch is huge. The fact that I need my iPhone to do basic navigation in this watch is a negative right now, But, you know, overall, it's not something I typically use, but I would like to see it in the Apple Watch going forward. You know, in terms of size, these are relatively speaking the same size watch, so I have no issues with these side by side. All right, so what's coming up next? I'm gonna put more miles on this thing, running and rucking, direct comparison. I'll do some heart rate comparisons, some accuracy between the watches. I don't expect a ton of revelations in that comparison, but I'm still gonna go out there and compare these watches side by side. Just to see how they do. But really the biggest one is going to be the battery for me, and I'm going to use this straight out for a weekend, couple days, take it on a trip, that kind of stuff in the next week or two, just to see how it does, because that is what this watch is all about, is the battery. That's the bigger screen. It does have cool other outdoor features. I do like this other button on the side. That's kind of a nice feature, but really it's all about the battery and the screen for me. And I'm also going to take these and do some sleep testing. So I'm going to wear them both. Hopefully they won't wake me up as I knock myself out with either watch, but it's going to be a head-to-head comparison of how accurate the sleep tracking is, when you go to sleep, when you wake up, that kind of stuff. I don't generally like to sleep with any of the watches. I ditched the Whoop long ago just because it doesn't really interest me that much in terms of my sleep quality. I sleep fine. Initial verdict on the Ultra: it's a giant leap for Apple, dipping its toe into fitness metrics way beyond what they had before. They need to continue to improve this to catch up to what the EPIX still does, because I think for the serious athlete, the EPIX still is or the Phoenix line, if you really need an even more extreme battery and you don't need the AMOLED display, those are still far and away better devices for the serious athlete. For the casual athlete, someone who occasionally trains for even up to a marathon or triathlon, the Ultra will be awesome. This is going to excel for the person that wants to stay connected to their phone, no matter what they're doing. And in that regard, you're going to need the Ultra if you're going to do more fitness things outside, doing longer duration events and training. And so, yeah, sure, Ultra will maybe be for you. And so really it's kind of a toss-up. I think it's closing the gap to the Garmin, but it's still not even a comparison for the serious athlete. So at the end of the day, I think this is way better than the Series 7 for me, way better than the Series 8. Definitely the Ultra is going to be for me. And what I'm really interested to see is, will this replace what's currently an 80-20 split between the EPIX and the Apple Watch? Again, I use this whenever I know I'm going outdoors, or if I'm going on a trip and I just don't need the connectivity, or I really just don't want to bring an extra charger. But now that this lasts a little bit longer with the Ultra, I'm looking forward to seeing how this does long term. So there you go, that's my initial impressions on the Apple Watch Ultra. Just got it, put some miles on it, it's been fantastic. That screen brightness is awesome. The watch bands fit, so excited. But anyway, in the next couple of days, we're gonna put some more miles on it, take it on a trip, see how that battery lasts, see what those run features look like more often. So let's take a look. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. See you next time as we tell you more about the Garmin Ultra and other gear to get you outside. See you.